dear friends, and welcome to Mini Mike. So, I have some advice for you before we start, but don't eat unhealthy foods. Always eat healthy foods, as today we have got a doctor with us. And may you introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show, Mini Mike. I like the name of your show. My name is Osama Almethen. I'm a specialist in emergency medical services, and I work at the Department of Emergency Medical Services. And we deal with emergencies on a daily basis. And hopefully, me being here on your show will be helpful and has lots of knowledge and experience of my life that I could provide to our audience.
I think you have to take him because he was gonna say don't forget to eat
unhealthy food. That's right.
He was gonna say that, so yeah. Take him.
Well, we'll take that in consideration, and we'll have that checked out later on.
I'm just gonna have to run.
Well, what does an emergency doctor do?
Okay, well, the emergencies, there are doctors and there are other emergency personnel, such as paramedics and EMTs, nurses. They all work in the same field. Emergency doctors, they deal with people who have seriously injured or ill people who cannot wait until they have an appointment to see a doctor. So we take them to the emergency doctor, and the emergency doctor will diagnose them as fast as they can and try to help them or treat them as soon as possible. And then our specialties, they will follow up later on. So they actually save lives or prevent injuries and illness from becoming worsened.
Yeah. Well, how do you decide which patient to help first in the emergency?
It depends on priorities. So whoever's priorities worst, then we start with them.
If it's a head injury, they go with them first?
Exactly. If there is a head injury and there's a serious injury, usually we take them by ABC. We have 3 letters, ABC, the first 3 letters of the alphabet. A is in airway, so if there's any problem in the airway, then this is very serious, and it takes first priority. And then B is breathing. If there's any problem with breathing, then that's a second priority. And C is circulation. Circulation, that means the blood in our body. If there's any problem with the circulatory system in our body, then it also takes a priority. And this is what we call them life support.
Well, what's the most common injury or illness you see in the emergency room?
Okay, the most common injury or illness, mostly injuries that involve bleeding. Because when you lose too much blood, then your heart will stop, then we have a bigger problem. The most common illness, especially in this weather now in Kuwait, asthmatic people, people with altered blood pressure. So sometimes their blood pressure is so high, sometimes their blood pressure is so low. Other problem with illnesses, especially with chronic patients, which is diabetes. Diabetes, they have problems that we see them in emergency rooms. But our necessary and the first priority for us, which is people who are injured in road traffic accidents.
Well, if there was 2 traffic incidents in the same time, what would you do?
There is more than one doctor, and there is big staff in the emergency room. We can work up to maybe 6 to 8 patients at the same time. So our hospitals, our government hospitals, is prepared for resuscitation rooms that can handle between 6 to 8 really injured people, or really people who got involved in accidents and they might lose their lives at the same time, especially in our main hospitals. It's like Jabal Hospital, and there is Mark Hospital, where they have trauma centers.
Well, dear friends, we're going to take a short break and let us get back to you. So, pause.
Unpause. And now we're going to continue with our episode Well, the amazing episodes, I would say.
What's the most challenging part of your job?
The most challenging part as working as an emergency responder, especially when you talk about ambulances and EMTs, paramedics, it's time actually. So response time is the most challenge thing when you're working outside the hospital. Inside the hospital, when you work in emergency rooms, such as doctors, nurses, and technicians also, the most challenging thing is preparing for the case before it arrives. So we have to actually communicate with the emergency personnel and the control center in our emergency department, just to make sure that the case is coming. We can prepare everything for it before it arrives.
Well, why did you decide to become an emergency doctor?
Well, Rtaj, deciding to become an emergency doctor or a person who deals with emergencies, it comes from the inside. Most of us, we would like to help people when they are in need. So if you feel that inside you, and you feel that you have the urge that if somebody's hurt or injured or ill, you feel like you want to help them and try to make a difference in their life, then you have to choose that profession, because it actually helps people and save lives, and actually it feels so good, Rtaj, when you do that. So we used to do it without knowledge and without any skills. So going into this kind of education and learning how to deal with these emergency cases gave us the knowledge and the skills how to do it right.
Wow, is it a hard job?
It is a hard job actually, but somebody has to do it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever saved someone's life?
Actually, Hassan, yes. Fortunately, I had the chance to save someone's life, and it feels so good because when you know this person's life is about to, go, and when we talk about lives, it's actually in God's hands, in Allah's hands. So if Allah is, meant for this person to go, it's His time to go, then anything you can do will not stop this person to go. But if Allah's said it's not his time or her time, and you just need some effort and some help from other people to save their lives, and then Allah allow this person to continue living, it makes you feel so good inside you.
Well, what's the best advice you've ever given to a patient?
To a patient? Okay. First, our best advice is actually to be cautious, because when you get hurt, that's it, the damage happened. But if you be careful, every time you do something, if you are involved in certain sport, or if you work in a labor area with machinery and everything, then take extra, be cautious and prevent the injury before it happens. And patients who already have injuries and illnesses, we always advise them to continue checking with your doctor and go back for checkup and make sure that you are healthy. And please don't listen to other people. You know how sometimes they sit in diwaniyas and they sit in places and they just take advices from people they are not professional, So you take the professional words from the professionals.
Well, thank you for coming.
You're most welcome.
So friends, that was our end of our episode. I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Bye.